Hello. Today we are going to talk about a new knife, a new butterfly knife, Wilson Combat Superfly. Here she is. And let us get right to it. Get some eye candy out there for you. So, Wilson Combat is a company that they make custom 1911 pistols. Among other things, I'm sure. I think they make AR-15s or rifles as well. And they have a lot of custom knives or their own sort of line of knives where they get other companies to build them a knife. And the first sort of collaboration that I know of or that I was ever interested in was with Chris Reeves knives. And this Chris Reeves Unum Zen is one such collaboration with Chris Reeves knives. They have this starburst pattern. They made it famous for the pistol grips of their 1911s. And now you see this pretty common in the knife world, but I think it started here first with this knife. So this is a lefty version of the Chris Reeves Unum Zen. This one is a safe queen for me. If I want to carry an Unum Zen, I will normally carry my original knife back in 2010. But back to the Balisong. Well, almost back to the Balisong. This is a knife that is designed by a gentleman named Les George. And I have an example of his knife to show as well. This is a custom Les George Rockeye. This gentleman, he used to live in Texas down south of me in Corpus Christi. I believe he's moved since. I just noticed that when I was looking him up online. But this is a Rockeye. This is a full custom that we picked up on our honeymoon back in 2010. The maker had gone to a knife show there, and I picked it up from a gentleman that bought it from Les George himself. But these are hard to come by, and I used to carry it. I haven't carried it in a while, but I ought to again. It's a huge knife, very slim, but it carries so well. It's a great knife. But you guys are here for the butterfly knife, and let's get into that right away. I just want to talk about this knife from a construction perspective, not a review. And not from a flipping point of view either. I'm not a good flipper, but let's just start off with this particular knife here. So the blade itself is made of CTS XHP, which is a good high quality super steel, I think you could say. And the design is something of a Weehawk design. And it's got tang pin constructions. You see these big beefy tang pins. These tang pins are actually huge. You can see the cutouts right here for them as well. In fact, I'm going to do some comparisons along the way as I'm walking through this knife. We said Weehawk knife, so whenever you hear Weehawk knife, you automatically think of the original gangster Benchmade 42. And I guess this is not the original gangster Weehawk knife, but in a lot of people's minds, it is. If you want to go original gangster Weehawk, you've got to go back to a Jody Samson custom. But let's just compare the two Weehawk styles. Let's see if I can do this. There's a new camera setup. This is my first YouTube video, so I'm sure things will get better if I decide to continue. There we go. I do love the shape of the 42 blade. It's very cool. The 62 carries on with that tradition, of course. Not a very good flipper, and I don't have one of those knives. But this is a little more rounded. The swedge here is much smaller and follows a curvature. It's got a quicker drop point than the 42 does. But you notice right away how gigantic this knife is compared to the 42. Let's line them up right here. Trying to line, well, from the perspective of the camera, that's hard to do. How about that? Dorset. But as far as blade length, It's a little bit longer. So this thing is handle heavy, and I've noticed that in the little flipping I've done with it. But this is titanium slabs 6AL 4V, and I want to point out that the construction is really excellent on this. I mean, it blows older stuff like this out of the park, and it's even better than some of the newer stuff in some ways. Like, for instance, the hardware. Look at this, and some of these new knives, which I love. I love the Alpha Beast. Where is it? Let's go with the 1.0 Alpha Beast. They've got the pins that are, there's the female version of the pins and the screws right here. There is no Torx on the back side of that. So a lot of times when you're trying to take a latch off or what have you, you have issues with spinning hardware. There's ways to deal with that, but with this Les George Superfly, he's got both ends of the hardware have Torx screws, which is nice. And I've already taken off the latch on this knife. As you can see, we have a paracord latch. The paracord latch is something that I recently discovered when I got back into butterfly knives a couple of weeks ago. And I thought it was the coolest thing ever. And it allows me to flip a knife and not worry about latch abuse, beating the crap out of the other end of the handle with that latch. So let me show you the clip that came with this knife. Here's some paracord, 95 one strand paracord type 1 that I've been using to make these latches, and it works great. This latch came with it. Now, as most of you guys know, the Alpha Beast or BRS type latch is designed so well, and it really doesn't impart a lot of abuse. And like, this is a new knife for me. I just recently bought it off the secondary market. This knife I've had since new, and I've put quite a few hours of flipping into it, and I just don't hardly see any abuse at all. That rounded dome just doesn't beat up the bottom of that safe handle. And of course, it never gets caught. With the design, everyone knows it just ricochets away, which is pretty cool. This was not designed in such a way. I think one of the weaker points of the design was this latch. I felt like it was going to abuse the bottom of this knife. So I took it right off and put a paracord latch, which works great. And I also flipped the clip to the other side for lefty carry. As you noticed, maybe, I am left-handed. These are lefty-specific frame locks. And as such, I would like to draw out my knife with my left hand in my left-hand pocket and be able to do a quick draw to get to the blade. And most knives with clips are set up the opposite of that. They're on the bite handle, but they're on this side. So I love to have a clip available to me that I can swap, which is really cool. Anyway, the hardware on this knife is tip-top shape. Big old beefy pivots here. The same. I didn't take these apart, so I don't know what the construction is underneath. But I do believe you've got the male and female type screws. And look how big these tang pins are. Let's compare that again to an Alpha Beast. Look at that. This is an Alpha Beast Alt Infinity. And these tang pins go all the way to the end of that handle, and these are giant. And so when I'm flipping this knife, when I'm doing like twirling around a finger or whatever, I can, truth be told, feel these cups right here, these tang pin cups, but it's not painful and it doesn't really bother me. What else? It's just very handle heavy, and it's got very long handles compared to most of these other knives. The bottom is nice and rounded. He's cut some channels out right here, so it's just nice and smooth, and this paracord latch works really well. The weight of this sucker is, according to the website, it's 5.9 ounces. Let's give that a test, a good old balance test, and see if that's the case. I don't know if you can see that. Probably not. Turn it on. And it is zeroed. Let's see. What this thing weighs. I got 5.7. This is a piece of junk balance, so very well probably is 5.9. All right. What else can I tell you about this? Apparently the blade length is 4 3/8 inches long, and this is a really good EDC knife. I can say that for sure. Carries really nicely. It's a big honking knife. I have extra large hands. You wear extra large gloves, and this has just got tons of real estate. Let's compare it to some other knives here. So again, to the Alt Infinity Alpha Beast. This is a great EDC knife as well. And this is a big butterfly knife compared to 42, but I just love the real estate on this. As far as flipping, you'll have to get some other opinions of flippers in the future to decide how well of a flipper it is. In my opinion, it's not a bad flipper, but take that for what it's worth. As I hope to advance my flipping skills, I'd be better able to decipher that in the future, but right now I'd just say I think it's pretty good. And we have a replicant here just to compare it to. Get this 42 out of the way. I think it'd be better to be videoing this from like up here, right? Yeah, that'd be much better. I need to get some sort of stand set up. Got a Basilisk. We've got, I don't know what this is. Does anyone know what this is? This is a cool one. It's kind of dirty though. I don't know. What do you think? And this one is not a safe queen. I haven't flipped it much lately, but to be honest, I'd flip it over the bed. So I would say this knife right here is the one that got me interested in butterfly knives again. I looked at it. I had to go to the JD and see what they said about it, which was not much. Decided to buy it. And since then, I peeked back into the Balisong world and noticed that these were around. It was a bare bones trainer. And of course, this one, I got the Alt Infinity Alt Blade Alpha Beast from someone off of the Jersey Devil Voodoo Exchange. Pretty cool. And I've got a titanium version of this guy coming. Ordered it yesterday, along with a tanto bladed version of this guy. So it's when it rains, it pours. The Balisongs around here. This is my first butterfly knife that I ever owned. Would never sell it. Oh, it's back up. Anyway, this is a cool knife. I'd like to see some opinions of more skilled flippers on how it flips. I mean, it's a huge knife. It weighs 5.9 ounces. It's not going to be a quick knife. It's not going to be a pro flipper, I don't think, but I bet someone with some skills could decently flip this thing and enjoy the heck out of it. It's a great EDC. It's nice to carry around a solid, well-rounded, well-balanced, gigantic knife made out of titanium, so it's not as heavy as this thing would be if it was made out of stainless steel. Anyway, if you have any questions about this that I can answer, hit me up in the comments. Yeah, thanks a lot.